Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Living in Alberta, and today we have a super informative video for you. I get asked questions all the time to kind of describe what neighborhoods are where. Is this an older neighborhood, a newer neighborhood? So we're gonna open up Google Maps today, and I'm gonna walk you guys through everything you need to know if you're thinking of moving to or you are living in Red Deer, Alberta. Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Kyle. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. On this channel, we break down everything when it comes to moving to or living in Alberta. So if you do want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Definitely click the notification bell so you are notified every single week when a new video comes out. And if you would like any help with your real estate needs, I'm a licensed realtor in the province. You can use this information popping up right now. Get a hold of me any way you know how. And I also want to wish everyone a super Merry Christmas. I hope everyone got to spend time with family, had tons of food. I know I had tons of pierogies and cabbage rolls. Need to get back on the program now. And you're probably going to watch this video right before New Year. So I hope everyone also has a happy New Year. So let's get right into the video. All right, I have Red Deer pulled up on Google Maps. So I'm going to kind of switch between satellite view and just regular view like you see now. We're just going to walk through Red Deer, and hopefully this answers a lot of questions that people have. I know it might not be the most exciting video, but it definitely, if you are looking to move somewhere, these videos are super important. They give you such a good overview of what is going on in the city, where things are located, where to live. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to point out is that Red Deer, you can see that it is divided by the river. So just about uniformly there, you can see this part and then you see this part. Now, what is considered South Red Deer is basically everything on this side of the river right here. So even though this looks like it could be east, a lot of people just consider this south. So anytime you're crossing a bridge in Red Deer, going over the river, you are going from north to south. So this area here, this is all, and for the sake of this video, is what is considered North Red Deer. But let's start by kind of looking at how to get around in Red Deer. So it's super easy. This is one of the things that I really love about living in Red Deer is that whoever designed the traffic system, the roads here in Red Deer, it is absolutely phenomenal. So if you can find Gates Avenue, which is this guy right here, and then this one here is Taylor Drive. So Gates Avenue basically separates Red Deer from west to east. It is obviously the main artery that runs north to south. And then here we have 67th Street. Here we have Taylor Drive. And then if we zoom in a little bit, this here is 32nd Street. So if you're new to the city and you can find these four areas, you're well on your way being able to navigate through the city. So very easy to get around in. Red Deer is awesome. There's hardly any traffic issues. So let's kind of dive into the areas now. Let's start on the south end. So the city has been growing south for the last couple of decades. It's a very popular area of the city to live in. So let's kind of start off by talking about which ones are newer neighborhoods, which ones are older neighborhoods, where some things are located. So let's start off with the newer neighborhoods. Let's zoom in a little bit here. So we're on the very south end of Red Deer right now. So this is 19th Street. There is no residential past this area. So this is as far south for the time being that you can get when you're living in Red Deer. Now this whole south end is amazing. So this is just part of it. We're going to get into stuff a little bit farther north here in the south end as well. But anywhere in this area, you have Sunnybrook. It's called Sunnybrook South here, but this is actually called Southbrook, Inglewood, Vanier, Lancaster, Anders is awesome, Bauer. These are all phenomenal neighborhoods. You can't go wrong living in any of them. Now, I lived in Lancaster. I own two homes here, and I owned my last home before I moved out to an acreage. I lived in Vanier East. So this southeast section of the city here, this is actually called Vanier East, and then this is actually called Vanier Woods. They have it labeled as Vanier Woods East on the map. Just north of there, but this is a newer neighborhood also, and this is called Laredo. This is an awesome area for young families. When I lived there, my girls were young. There we lived right on Bounce Lake Way, and I'm just going to change this over to satellite view. Gives you a better idea of like where the green spaces are, just gives a little bit more detail. You can see this is Vanier East right here. So I live right in this neighborhood here. You can see there's a huge green space with a park in the middle of it. There's actually 2 playgrounds. This area of this neighborhood is always full of kids. So there's a ton of young families. I'd never had any issues letting my daughters go across the street. We lived right here. They'd go across the street and play at the park all of the time. If you walk around the neighborhood, there's kids everywhere. There's families out walking. There's actually some not bad walking trails back here. I mean, obviously you're not going to get there's some better walking trails in the center of the city, but you're away from the busyness, the hustle and bustle. And there's actually walking trails all around this lake. And then if we zoom out a little bit, there's actually paved walking trails that are now developed that run all the way along here. Now, if we go just a little bit farther north, zoom in a little bit, it doesn't pop up because the Google Maps isn't updated. This is Laredo, and again, right in between Vanier East and Laredo, there is a ton of playgrounds again. So not to beat a dead horse, but this whole southeast corner is a phenomenal area if you do have a young family. And like I said, you can't go wrong with any of these neighborhoods. So Anders Lake, all of these neighborhoods are really fantastic areas. So these ones are newer. Laredo's, we're going to find a lot of new construction going on. Vanier Woods, Vanier East. Vanier East is newer also than Vanier Woods. You will pay a little bit more of a premium for real estate in this area, but in my opinion, this is one of my favorite areas of the city, and it is worth it. Now, Inglewood is also a newer neighborhood. Anders, this is an interesting neighborhood. It's very big. This is a very popular neighborhood to live in. It has a mix of an older part of Anders. So in this area here, it's going to be older. And then you're going to have newer areas in the area that's called Aspen Ridge. And then you're going to have some big, beautiful homes here. It's called Anders on the Lake. Now, this neighborhood here, again, we talked about it briefly. Southbrook. It's not actually called Sunnybrook South. This is called Southbrook. Again, phenomenal area for young families. As you can see, you're very close to a lot of really good walking trails that plug you in all the way up to the river. And this is pretty much all single family detached homes. So awesome neighborhood, very safe. Now I'm just going to pop back over to regular view here. Now if we look, so we talked about kind of this area here. We start moving a little bit farther north. Lancaster is again, an amazing neighborhood, slightly older than Inglewood, Vanier East, and Laredo, but not too old. A lot of the homes were built in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And as we kind of move north, so we start getting in, so we have Deer Park, which is this neighborhood here, and north of that is a neighborhood called Rosedale. So these are slightly older. A lot of the homes were built in the 80s and 90s in this area. There's some really nice areas, especially when you get into areas that have estates after them. So Deer Park Estates, Rosedale Estates. Anytime you see estates after something, it's kind of like the more expensive area of the neighborhood. But in these neighborhoods, you're going to find a lot of big mature trees, lots of bigger lots, and some homes with a lot of character here. But let's not get too much into the older neighborhoods right now. Just remember, all the way on the east side here, Deer Park, Rosedale, very good neighborhoods. A lot of the homes were built in the 80s and 90s. So again, if you are looking in that time frame, you're going to want to consider that a lot of these homes might have poly B plumbing, which a lot of insurance companies aren't insuring for anymore. So if you do come across a home like that, you are going to get something like that changed as soon as you move in. Now, if we just head a little bit farther north of Rosedale, we get into Timberstone, which is also a newer neighborhood. Now, in this neighborhood, you're not going to get a lot of old growth trees and bigger lots and different things like that. It still is a great newer neighborhood. It's got a ton of shopping in this area right here. So there is gyms, there is pet stores, supplement shops, groceries, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. So they're very walkable for that reason. So Timberstone is a great neighborhood. And if we go right across 30th Ave, we get into Clearview Ridge. So again, what's nice about this one is so this is a ridge, so you can't just walk straight down. You have to take the walking trails down, and then you have access to a lot of some of the best walking trails in the city, all along the river as well, and north up into 3 Mile Bend Dog Park. But this area is also really well known for its amenities. So this whole area here is called Clearview Market. You have pretty much everything that you could think of. So all of the major banks are there. Again, lots of really popular restaurants, lots of shopping, London Drugs. So again, super walkable neighborhood. You might not be able to walk to work just because Red Deer it's set up a little bit different for that. But as far as getting normal day-to-day things done, like grocery shopping or just going for food or again, going to the bank, this is a fantastic neighborhood for that. Now, if we zoom out quickly, there's a couple neighborhoods that people aren't really aware of. So over across the way here, we have Garden Heights, all single family homes. Beautiful, beautiful area. Again, backs onto the walking trails. And then up here, we have Evergreen. So this is where you're going to find a lot of new construction going on. It's kind of a little bit, it's separated from the city by about 1 kilometer or so. So kind of an interesting neighborhood, but this is one of the newest neighborhoods in the city. Along with Laredo, and those two neighborhoods are where you're going to find new construction being developed. All right, keeping with the theme of the newer neighborhoods. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about this southeast corner as well is that it's awesome because you do have the Calgary Center here. I don't know if it shows up better on the satellite view. So right here is the Calgary Center. This is an awesome rec center in the city. Indoor running tracks, field houses, skating rinks, and Scott's daycare, preschool there. On either side of those are 2 high schools. You have Hunting Hills and you have Notre Dame. So if you do have kids in that, that area of their life, that is an awesome area to live in if you want them to be able to walk to school. And then your main area of shopping in this area is going to be the East Hill Shopping Center. So if we zoom in a little bit, we got Save on Foods, there's gas stations. It's not a huge center, but a lot of the people in this area, this is going to be your main area for groceries. There's a restaurant, Tim Hortons. There is a medical clinic here as well. But keeping it with our theme of newer neighborhoods, let's zoom out a little bit and let's head over to the southwest side of the city. So let's just pop back out here. So this area of the city right here and right here, we zoom in a little bit. So this is where the college is located. So you can see this is Red Deer Polytechnique. They recently changed their name. It used to be called Red Deer College. So if you are looking for a quick commute because you are a student there, you might want to live over in one of these areas. Also, what's great about living in this part of the city is you have pretty quick access to the G.W. Harris Canada Game Center. So this was developed in 2019 in preparation for the Canada Winter Games. This is really a state-of-the-art, for lack of a better term, rec center. So again, you have skating rinks, you have indoor running tracks, you have a huge new gym here. This is also where the Kings and Queens play. Those are the teams from the colleges. So if you want to check out a game, it's awesome for that. So let's just head across 32nd Street, zoom out a little bit. So college is here. So we have West Park. Now this is an older neighborhood. This is a very popular neighborhood for people who are looking to rent that want to be close to the college. And this also makes this a good area for an investment property. Now that's because there is a ton of people looking to rent. So there's a higher renter potential or population here. Now if we head just a little bit west, we get into, they call it West Park Extension, but this is actually called West Lake. So this is a newer neighborhood. Most of the homes were built 2000 plus, all single family detached homes. And what people really love about this neighborhood and this area, we'll just change it to the satellite view, you have access to Heritage Ranch. So as you can see, the walking trails have all popped up. This is a super popular area. There's so many kilometers here you can walk along. People actually fish in this area here off this little island, and then it plugs into all of the walking trails along the way. Now, one thing I want to talk about is what's also cool about living in this area is that you have access to Cronquist Industrial Park here. Now, it's called Industrial Park, even though it's, it doesn't have too much of an industrial feel. You can see you can take the walking trails down here, and you have the Troubled Monk Brewery. So if you want to have a beer and stumble home, it's awesome. You have Dose on the River, which is an awesome coffee shop. There's a Pure Earth Organics market in here, which is also phenomenal. They got some really cool stuff there. So another cool thing about living in this area is that you do have super quick access to some of this cool stuff down here in Cronquist Industrial. And this is actually all developed now. So on Google Maps, again, not updated. This is all developed. There's going to be condos going in here called Capstone, and all along the river. It's just beautiful walking past here. So lots of people, lots of activity along this area. Now let's kind of talk about older neighborhoods on the south end. So some of the more popular ones, there's some very, very popular ones all here, but some of the more popular ones are Sunnybrook. I just changed over to map view or the satellite view. So this is a cool neighborhood because only these parts, the northern border and the eastern border, have traffic on them. It's all farmland here. Yes, there's actually still a farmland here, a farm, I should say. And then all along the western border, you have some really, really, really beautiful walking trails. And if you want to walk right through the trees here, right there is Bower Mall. So really popular neighborhood in Southbrook. We've talked about Sunnybrook and Bauer. If you watch my video called what are the top 5 older neighborhoods to live in Red Deer, you'll see some more detail in these ones. And again, Bauer, very popular older neighborhood as well. A lot of the homes were built in the 70s. In both of these areas, you're going to get bigger lots of mature trees. Bauer is interesting because it borders Gates Avenue, so some people could look at that as a pro or a con, and it has Bauer Mall right in the neighborhood, so you have access to some of the very best shopping in Red Deer. There's lots of restaurants and different things along here. And if we hop right across Gates Avenue, we get into South Point Common, and over here we have Home Depot, Walmart's, there's Best Buy, Winners, HomeSense. So really good area for, again, walkability and just be close to some of the best amenities in Red Deer. Now if we zoom out a little bit here, again, I don't want to make this video too long to get too descriptive, but in this area here, this is all older neighborhoods. So this is all older. So you have Mount View, you have Grandview, Eastview, Clearview Meadows is here, and then Michener Hill, got that to pop up, and then Morstrow. This is also a very popular older neighborhood here. Now these ones are really popular. Grandview and Mount View, you have access to all of these green spaces here. Now let's just pop up. You can see all these walking trails, and it comes down. They get their name because this is kind of a ridge. It kind of overlooks downtown. So those are super popular areas. Just switch back here. So again, if you are looking for older neighborhoods, it's kind of in the center here. And then we have Sunnybrook and Bauer. Let's head up to the north end. Now the north end doesn't get as much love as the south end. Like I said before, the city has been kind of growing south for the last couple of decades. The north end has a little bit more of a different feel to it, in my opinion. As you can see, it's kind of surrounded by industrial. So this is the north end where all the residential are. And then down in this area, as you can see, we have industrial here. This is Edgar Industrial. And then there's a bunch of shopping and hotels and different things in here. And then on this side of the north end, we have industrial area all along here. Then we have the Pines, and then we have industrial area all along Riverside. Well, they're along the river. So the north end doesn't get as much love as the south end, but there's still some great areas to live in the north end. If we're looking for newer neighborhoods, these are your options. So if we look, we have Johnstone Park. So it's all the same. We just call this Johnstone. These are relatively newer neighborhoods built 2000 plus. I mean, you're not going to find a lot of new construction or any new construction on the north end right now, but there is a new development set to take place around Haslet Lake, so the north end will be getting some love, so keep an eye out for that one. But we talked about Johnstone, lots of young families in this area. This is a very good neighborhood for the north end. And then we move over into this area, we have Kentwood. Again, a lot of the homes were built around that 2000 time or late 1990s, so Kentwood is another newer area in the north end. And then if we move down this way, Oriole Park West. So this is, I believe this is probably the newest development on the north end, even though there's no brand new construction or anything like that. Some of the negatives of living in Oriole Park West is that, as you can see, you are getting a little bit close to the highway here. And as well, when we talked about Westlake, you are a little bit close to the highway as well. So if that is something that's important to you or might be an issue, you're going to want to consider where your house is if you are buying in that neighborhood. Are you backing onto the highway? What area of the neighborhood are you in? But again, let's get back up to the north end here. Now that's kind of it for newer neighborhoods or newer-ish neighborhoods on the north end. If we start looking a little bit more central, from 77th Street and down through Taylor and in this area along Gates Avenue, these are all older neighborhoods. So you have Glendale, and then you have Normando. It doesn't pop up on the map here, but this area is Normando. So those are older neighborhoods. We talked about the Pines as being one of my favorite older neighborhoods in the city. We just changed the map here. The Pines is kind of similar to Bauer. Again, it's on my best older neighborhoods to live in Red Deer. So if you want more detail, check it out. Borders Gates Avenue, so it could be a pro or a con, and it borders 67th Street, so there might be a little bit of traffic noise depending on where you're living, but you can see it's an older neighborhood. And this is a really cool part of the Pines right here as well. So these closes, they are so densely treed. I just zoom in here a little bit, you can see it doesn't feel like you're in the city. It really is kind of cool. You can miss them. For the longest time, I didn't even know they were here until I started working on the fire department. But if we just click down here, you can down to Google Street View, you can see there's huge lots of trees. This is a really cool area of the city. There's a big monstrosity of a house right there. Really neat area, really densely treed. Like I said, you don't even realize that you are in the city. And for some reason, If you are going to find a pool in Red Deer, a lot of the pools are going to be in the pines here. But let's get out of this. Let's go back out. Now let's move a little bit south. I'm going to zoom out here south on the north end. I'm going to change the map view, see if we can get these neighborhoods to pop up. So you can see we have the river here dividing north and south. Right along the river, you have Riverside Meadows. Again, these are all older neighborhoods. All of this area here. Fairview, this is an interesting neighborhood because you are right beside the Red Deer Golf and Country Club. You have access to really good access or quick access to Bower Pond. So this is a really good neighborhood to live in. Oriole Park is an awesome neighborhood. And then, like I said, these are all going to be older neighborhoods here. So Highland Green Estates, this is all considered one neighborhood. And again, like we talked about, we have Riverside Meadows right along the river here. So that's kind of a quick overview of the north end. I just kind of want to touch on what's considered downtown. So if I just use my markup tool here really quick. Sorry guys, I know this video is getting a little bit long, but so kind of this area here, don't laugh at my drawing, that's all kind of considered downtown Red Deer. Now you're going to find obviously a lot of businesses are down there. So we have Ross Street here. So this is kind of the main area of downtown. Ross Street is a really cool area, and we'll throw up some footage so you can see some B-roll. There's Ross Street Patio, which is right along here. Lots of people love to hang out down here during a hot day of the summertime. There's live music. There's lots of cool coffee shops, restaurants, bars, different things like that. So a really cool area of downtown. Not a ton of like single family detached homes in this area. You're going to find a lot of apartment buildings. If we just zoom out a little bit, Waskesiu. So this is a good option if you want to live on the river. Let me see if I can get the neighborhood to pop up. So you can see it says Waskesiu here. And this is also known as Waskesiu. Now what's interesting is if I just change this to Google Maps or satellite view, 55th Street here is a very busy artery. Now, if we click on 55th Street, you can see that it is all apartment buildings. We just look along 55th Street on both sides of the street, north and south. It is all apartment buildings. I actually used to live right here back in 1998. It was called Mead Manor. True story. I had mushrooms growing out of my carpet in my bedroom. I told the landlord, he told me, oh, don't worry, we'll get that when you move out. So who knows what kind of issues I'm going to have as life goes on because of those mushrooms growing out of my carpet. But what's interesting is this is such a busy street full of apartment buildings, and you go one block back and we'll see if we can pop up Google Street Views. You get these big, beautiful, old historic homes on, 0.3 acres to 0.5 acres. We'll actually throw up some B-roll so you guys can see a little bit better because these Google Street Views aren't always the best. So that is a very interesting neighborhood. The B-roll you just saw was basically all of this. And then if we move across the street, we'll show you B-roll of Woodley. So another really cool older neighborhood. And again, you have access to some really cool walking trails. And this is a big ridge here right in the middle of the city. So it is a really cool area. I want to bring up one more neighborhood that we should talk about. A lot of people ask me about this neighborhood. So if we just zoom in right south of the hospital, so sandwiched in between Gates Avenue, right south of the hospital and San Jim and Taylor Drive. This is called South Hill. People ask me about this neighborhood. This is where you're going to find a lot of condos and apartment buildings in this area. So not a whole lot of single family detached homes there. Lots of condo and apartment living. Now let's just kind of change this map really quick. Zoom back out. Now, if you don't want to live right in the city, there are some really good options that are super close to Red Deer. A lot of people love Black Falls. So Black Falls is literally about 10 minutes out of the north side of Red Deer. If you need to hit downtown, you can just take Highway 2 and head into downtown. But this is the fastest growing community right now in Central Alberta. It was the fastest growing community in the country for a really long time. So I think you're going to see a lot of really cool things happening in Black Falls. It's just continuing to grow, and you're going to see more and more amenities and some awesome things popping up there. Really, really good for young families. Tons of young families in this area. And then if we zoom out, we look at Sylvan Lake. Alberta is not overly well known for its lakes, but in my opinion, Sylvan Lake is probably one of the best, or is the best lake town if you're looking for that option. So very swimmable lake, lots of people. Again, it's just 15 minutes down Highway 11. This is all on the double lane highway as well, so super quick commute to get into Red Deer. And then there's a couple unknown ones down here. So Springbrook, it's a little village. There's not much going on there. It's basically just, you know, an extended neighborhood of Red Deer. Well, 5 minutes to Costco, a very quick trip. And then we have Penhold, which is, it's got a little bit more going on. It's got schools, it's got grocery stores. It's really developing. It's actually was one of the fastest growing communities in Central Alberta over the last couple of years as well. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I know it's a little bit longer. It's not as exciting as some of the other videos, but I think it's super important. I get asked these questions all the time. So there you kind of have a broad overview of the city. If you have any specific questions on any of the neighborhoods, please shoot me an email, shoot me a text, whatever it is. I can't really talk about things like crime or neighborhoods that aren't the best. I get in trouble for doing things like that, but I can definitely discuss that with you over a private email or a phone call. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. Definitely hit the subscribe button, and of course hit that notification bell so you are notified every week when the new video comes out, because we do drop new content every single week. And if you would like any help with your real estate needs, use this info popping up. I'm a realtor in the province, would love to help you out. All right, guys, I will see you guys next week. Happy New Year.